I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I'm down here in the bunker, but I'm not doing bunker work. This is just normal shop work. And what I'm doing is responding to the challenge from ScoutCrafter. He asked that we build a birdhouse. So I'm going to build a birdhouse using materials that I have on hand because you can't go to the hardware store or the lumber yard. So it's going to be limited to what I have in the shop. We'll see just how deep pockets I got in the storeroom. Now, I thought I'd take you in from the very beginning. I don't usually do a drawing, but I often do a sketch. And that's what I'm going to start with today, just to get an idea of where I want to go with the project. I thought it might be nice to do a recreation of the old shop, and I can make the drawing from memory, but I'm going to be looking at a picture just for a frame of reference. Now I've got a drawing to work from. I'll start sketching. My mentor in the early days of becoming a machinist was a guy called Frank Printke. And Frank was a tooling engineer. And he said, you don't have to have a formal drawing, but a sketch clarifies in your own mind what you're going to end up with. And it lets me have a sense of scale as to where things should be. Now this isn't going to be an exact one-for-one measurement to measurement of the old shop. All it's going to be is a reference work so that I can make as close to the original as I possibly can. And sketching lets you modify things as need be, and then you just write in the dimensions so that when you get to the actual build, you can work from that. And the nice thing about doing a drawing, if you find out you made a mistake, you just move the line. Okay, that's the rough dimensions. No, that's the rough shape. No dimensions yet. Side. And the end is fairly easy. 45-degree pitch roof. Looks quaint. When it's a sheet metal roof, it's a real bear to get up on. And there used to be an access to the granary up here. And I converted it to a window. Okay, that's that. There's the porch. And believe it or not, this sketch is a lot straighter than what the actual building is. Still stands, last I knew, which was 6 months ago. Went through and rebuilt the whole thing. This was only a roof and a few boards hanging on the sides. This part was all there. This is all the original things, the original doors and the original windows on this side. But there was no foundation. It sat on a rock here, about here, here, and here. There was a concrete floor that didn't encase the rocks. It came out to the rocks. So they built the walls, built the building. Then later on, when they went to put hogs in there, because you can't have hogs on dirt, they'll dig out. They put a concrete floor in there and just poured it out to the walls. So I had to jack the whole thing up, and I poured a foundation underneath it using existing rock, and made a kind of a form out of boards and put the rocks in there to support the walls, and then poured concrete up underneath the walls. This end wall here was built up out of brick. The foundation wall was built up out of brick because that's the one I started on. Then I ran out of brick after that wall, so the rest of it was just rocks and concrete. Had to jack the whole thing up about a foot, cut a foot off the bottom of every stud, and replace it. So all the bottom boards on this side, up about a foot and a half, are replacements that I got from the scrap wood that was in the upstairs of the hog barn. Yep. And right in this area here, I put in an herb garden. It's amazing how nice it smelled in the blacksmith shop, because in the summertime, this was all spearmint and peppermint. It's the only two mints that actually grew back there. Everything else just didn't want to grow. It's funny because it's on the south side of the building. Might have been too much light, not enough light, who knows. But anyways, spearmint, peppermint, but when the sun hit the wall and warmed up all that mint, it would draw in through the door. It was just wonderful. Access for the bird, in other words the hole, in the what would be the west end of the building. There's a window here on the original building, and that would be a good spot to put a hole for the bird, because there's really only going to be one bird living in this house, and the dimensions are going to be compressed because there's no point having an exact replica of the building. I'd like to have the feel of the building, but it doesn't have to be an exact match. So, now that I have my sketch, I need to put some dimensions on it. And for that, I'm going to have to do a little looking on the internet to see just how big the birdhouse has to be for a certain size, for a certain kind of bird. And I also have to determine what kind of bird I want to attract. I can always get sparrows. There's never a question. Sparrows will nest in almost anything. That's the basic plan of the birdhouse, and we'll go from here. Since I'm going to try and attract bluebirds, I want to have the hole 1.5 inches. Now it's going to be round. It's not going to be square like this because the square entrance is not a normal thing. The birds usually have a round one. And the distance to the center of the hole, 6 to 10 inches. So if I make this 12 inches to there, that would be 10 inches. Okay. Interior floor space, 5 by 5. So that's about right. This will be closer to 5 by 10, but we'll have at least 5 inches of width. So if this is 12 inches to the top of the wall, and this, I can see that this roof line is too high. It actually should end up about like that. So that's going to be approximately 12 inches there. That puts this wall about 8 inches. And remember, I'm not trying to make something to scale. Doesn't have to be an exact match. And this length is going to be about 20 inches. That's awfully big for a birdhouse. But I can take poetic license and artistic license and shrink that down. Make that closer to 15. These are the workshop window drawings for all the windows that I put in the back wall. Kind of a cool thing to have. It's a record of how you did it, and it also helps you while you're doing the build. If I wanted to build another arbor, I already have all the drawings done. All I have to do is cut the wood. And I'm going to be using pallet wood, but I'm also going to be using plywood. This doesn't have to be building that's going to last through the ages, but with a good coat of paint, plywood's going to go quite a long time. And I have quite a bit of plywood left over from both the kitchen remodel and doing the shelves for the pantry. I'm still going to be using some pallet wood, but I'm going to make the walls out of plywood. And the roof, I'm going to form up out of some sheet metal, because that's just a simple 90-degree bend in there. And this is just a simple flat sheet. And I have some sheet metal out in the garage. I can do that fairly quickly. Now I'm thinking, if I'm going to make this out of plywood, I'm going to have to put some pieces in the corner just to join the plywood together. And I'll have enough dimension in there that it won't interfere with a bird's access or ability to get in there and nest. And this is just going to be an empty box. There's not going to be any openings in this because bluebirds are solitary birds. If I was making a martin house, I might have a couple of holes up here, a couple of holes down here, and divide this into 4 nesting boxes, and then put another one down here, so I'd have 5. But since this is going to be a bluebird house, I'm just going to put 1 hole in this end. So, no interior walls, just a hollow box on this end. And I'll cut this out of 1 sheet of plywood. My reason to have that there is so I can put the back wall on. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and then the back side. And these 2 pieces will be exactly the same. So I think I'm good on this. Now I've got the drawing done, dimensions on it. I have the cut dimensions. Okay, this dimension is going to be fixed. This one's going to float. Whatever that works out to be. It might not be an exact 3 inches above there, but whatever it works out to be is fine. Okay, we've got the drawings done, and I can start laying out the plywood and get the pieces out of the garage and out of the storeroom to start putting the thing together. So, if you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.